It's a global breaking news, a global news break. YouTube and Gmail services are still down. They've not fully recovered. That's the latest that we are getting. To get more details, in fact, we are aware that many of you are still having issues accessing YouTube right now. That's the statement, by the way. Let me quickly read out the statement of YouTube. They say that we are aware all of Google services are down. We are aware that many of you are having issues accessing YouTube right now. Our team is aware and looking into it. That's a statement. In just a short moment, we'll have Rubina with us. But while she mics up, Kamaljeet Singh Bedi of NDTV is also with us. Kamaljeet, you know, I saw a very interesting tweet from you that productivity both goes up and down when Google is down. So that pretty much sums the importance of Google now. What all services are affected?
Yeah, Sanket, if you see, Google as a company has many services. So most people are familiar with YouTube. They know of Gmail. Search, of course, is their big one. But there are other services which a lot of people use, like productivity services. Like they have an equivalent of what is Microsoft Excel or Microsoft Word. They have Sheets and Docs, which a lot of people use for productivity and in office. They have analytics. They have, communication. They have Google Pay. Any service which requires a login, which most people do have, they were all down. I hear some of these services are coming back up, but for most people, they can't log in. I think a workaround for users would be not to log in. If they can access these services without logging in, they may be able to get to some of them. For example, on YouTube, if you try logging in without or try logging onto the site without you being logged in, you should be able to access the site.
Okay, Kamaljeet, many thanks for joining us with the latest. Rubina, I believe, is now with us. Rubina, can I ask you the reason why this has happened?
Yes, like if YouTube is not working, if you want to see a video or if your internet connection is not working, you're not alone, you know. Google services are currently down for most part of the world. YouTube, Gmail, Google Docs, and even the Play Store is not working for most users around the world. According to a popular website status checking utility down detector, most Google services are not accessible. Google's own apps and services dashboard has also confirmed that all the services are down globally. Meanwhile, the official YouTube account confirmed in a tweet that the team was aware of the issues with users accessing YouTube and was looking into it. Now, the downtime includes essentials like the Google Nest home security services. The reason for the downtime is currently not known, but it is rare for all the Google services to go down simultaneously. Some users are currently able to access some services in private mode, signaling that this could be an issue with Google's authentication platform. However, it remains to be confirmed if that's the case. We have reached out to Google yet, but the company has not responded for a statement right now. Sanket.
All right. Thank you very much, Rubina, for joining us. This is unusual because I don't think YouTube service or Google services have been down at this scale ever. So this is a massive thing to happen, and most importantly, see, this is also loss of business for a lot of people. YouTube, many people depend in terms of their livelihood on various Google platforms. So what is actually going to happen to them, and how big a loss is this? Let's discuss the various aspects with Pawan Duggal. He's a cyber law expert, is now with us. We're going to have him in just a short moment. Madan Gauri, he's also a YouTuber. He's going to join us in just a short moment. But Rubina, you know, see, these platforms of Google are basically everybody has a Gmail account.
Right.
Everyone who's on Android is using a Google service.
Correct.
And if these Google services are down, then in that case, this is not just inconvenience, but for many, a loss of revenue.
Totally. Like a lot of offices use Gmail as their main platform for emails. YouTube, for that matter, for every view per second a person is paid for creating content. That's a huge loss. Plus there's Google Docs. So a lot of inconvenience to the users. So it's not just revenue, it's just how we are on Google services all the time. Currently, as per me, the Google search was working, but a lot of other services were down. Some have started coming back up, but I still haven't managed to get my Gmail and YouTube up for now.
Any explanation, Rubina, as to why this could be happening? I mean, at this scale, at this massive scale, any explanation that we have?
See, as if you go into an incognito mode where you can't be detected, you can actually access these services. So as I said earlier, it can be a case of authentication, like where Google is checking that, and hence the services are down, but no confirmation from Google yet to the exact reason.
Okay. Ravina, many thanks for joining us and getting us all the latest updates. So we still do not know. This has been on for an hour and still not fully recovered. And something like this is bound to create massive sense of confusion. The point over here is that this is not just confusion or irritation or frustration or inconvenience. It has also got to do with loss of revenue. See, Google provides many services. One of the crucial services that Google provides is an enterprise platform where basically you can run your office email solutions using the Google software or Google updates. But if Google is down, then that essentially means that all internet services or basically all email services related to Google will also be down. Pawan Duggal is now with us. Mr. Duggal, it's rare for everything around Google to be down simultaneously. It's now being zeroed into some authentication fault or failure or problem. But how massive is this in your understanding?
I think it's pretty massive, primarily when you look at the global impact. I was just looking at the global map, and increasingly more and more areas are turning red, which means more and more impact is now being felt in different parts of the world. I would see that primarily as a huge cybersecurity attack that's been targeted purely on Google and Google-related platforms. The idea is ultimately if you can get Google to be offline or get Google on your knees, you can actually send a much bigger message to the entire world that if we can get the topmost player on their knees, then we can actually control the network and you and your digital present and future. I think that's what broadly is the picture emerging. I would see it as a manifestation of a variety of methodologies which would have contributed to these kinds of outages. But the real investigations will let us know as to what exactly has happened. But I think this is not just a normal incident. I think it needs to be seen as a wake-up call for almost all of us to be now prepared for more and more outages like these during COVID-19 and beyond. I'm very clear that the coronavirus age has brought in some very irreversible changes in cyberspace. And one of these will remain the continuously frequent levels of cybersecurity breaches and cybercrime incidents. We will have to await for this new cyber world order that will be greeting us at the end of the COVID-19 journey. But clearly, we are beginning to see the trailers of the movie, and this is one part of the trailer that people have begun to start seeing today.
Okay. Mr. Duggal, do stay on with us. We have Dr. Karnika Seth also with us, cyber law expert, and Madan Gauri is a YouTuber. Madan Gauri, let me first come to you. I want to know from you, with YouTube down and many people dependent on YouTube as their principal source, not just of a principal source of livelihood, not just revenue but livelihood. How big an impact is this, even if it is down, say, for a few hours?
Okay, first the good thing is YouTube is working now. Just before I took this call, I checked YouTube is working now.
Let me also check.
I'm happy that it's back online. Otherwise, it's the biggest streaming site in the whole world. It's part and parcel of every person who's on internet. It's part of our lifestyle, the internet lifestyle. So it would have been a huge impact, even for a few minutes. Of course, the outage was for very few minutes, but in that short span of time, the whole world went berserk. So it's a good thing that it's back, and I'm really happy that the engineers at YouTube have fixed whatever the issue was. We have to wait and see what it was.
So it works even on a non-signed-in mode, or because the concern was that if you are incognito or if you are not signed in, then it is going to work. But for all those people who try to log on to the website with their email ID and password pressed in, then it does not work.
I have no idea. So it was out before a few minutes. I just checked, and I just tweeted once or twice, and then now it's back online. So it was a very short span, but I'm happy that it's back online. I have no idea about the technicalities of what went wrong, but it was actually a shock. But I'm happy that it's back.
But are you scared of this vulnerability? Because we almost assume that this is Google, will never go wrong. YouTube will never go away. There'll never be any glitch.
No, I was not actually scared because I know the engineers at Google would be putting it back online. They are one of the most, the brightest set of minds in the world. So there was no doubt about that, and I'm happy that they did it. And that's the best part, I guess. No other service would have been back so fast. And I think since it's a Google service, it was back online very fast.
Okay, Madan, congratulations. Here's to more videos. Thank you very much for joining us. Dr. Karnika Seth is also with us. Dr. Seth, let me bring you in now. This very crucial point that was being raised by Mr. Duggal just a short while ago, where he said that in this pandemic, as we are becoming more and more technology dependent, the chances of technology not suiting us or not adapting that fast is also going to be a problem. And not adapting means from the point of view of security, that we have to be prepared for more outages.
Absolutely, I completely agree, because we've seen the kind of, I would say, the extra load or the extra work that, technology is doing for us in a way, because all the things which used to be happening, in the physical media or meetings physically or trainings physically, everything is on technology today. And whether it's Google or if it's any other service provider that we rampantly kind of use it very often, we'll have the pressures, So having said that, I am concerned only about the security aspect, because, while we have looked at the COVID times, there have been almost 85% increase in cybercrime even in India, especially during this period. And the kind of incidents, hacking of data or personal data, or even, any kind of mails could be, business sensitive information. And that's something which is requires more introspection, requires more of screening what exactly went wrong. But also another point is that, it's like a power outage. I mean, if it's a complete blackout, this is information blackout, because I practically feel that like any protected system has sensitive data about the nation. Likewise, critical infrastructure. I don't know if we can call Google as a critical infrastructure really today, but globally, if you look at it, hundreds and thousands of, millions of people rely on this for their businesses and private communications. And critical infrastructure is not just power or electricity or something which is automated, but also could be, your email inbox. It could be today something like data as a new oil, as we call it. So this service is so crucial that I don't think it's just a normal service, but it's backbone of a lot of work that we are putting in.
Okay. Mr. Duggal, before I let you go, I just wanted to understand, after hearing both you as well as Dr. Seth, why should we necessarily be worried about an outrage translating into a safety breach? How can for instance, Google went blank, right? How is this a security concern for you and me?
It's a massive security concern, because otherwise, if the security was up to date, then clearly these services would have continued as they are. But the very fact that the services have been impacted, there's a technical error. Please understand, today, cyber criminals have quickly realized that today is the golden age of cybercrime after the coming of COVID-19. And when they are attacking you at will, they are very, very clear. They want to attack at the weakest link in the chain. And that's what they would be doing in almost all outages. So when we talk about these critical information infrastructures and we talk about power outages, we're not just talking about blackouts, but we are also going to talk about brownouts, primarily because there'll be some portions of the internet which might be accessible to some portions of the world, while others may be deprived of it. So clearly, I think the overall message is that cyber security now has to be adopted as a way of life for us. Number two, we do not have to be surprised if these kinds of things happen, because they will now keep on happening with far more regular frequency.
And also with a company like Google, some data that Kamaljeet Singh Bedi is sending me, he says that Gmail has 1.5 billion subscribers. This basically is larger than India's population. That's its subscriber base.
And if you are going to deprive those 1.5 billion people of their data, even for a very short period of time, it will tantamount to not just a cybersecurity breach, but it will also tantamount to erosion of people's confidence and trust in the ability of the platform to deliver these services on a continued, unhindered basis. So I think we'll have to be prepared for these kinds of new outages, new cybersecurity breaches. We have to somewhere change our mindsets. We don't have to go in a panic mode. The focus has to come back on cyber resilience. How quickly can we come back to a state of normalcy even after being hit with attack? It's only a question of when we are going to become a victim of cybercrime, not if we will become a victim of cybercrime.
Sure.
So clearly, let's have a new color vision antennas as we go forward to look at the new challenges of cyberspace in COVID-19 and beyond.
Sure. Okay. Mr. Pawan Duggal as well as Dr. Seth, thank you so much for joining us. This is an important story. It should not be seen as a very casual, normal outage. This is far more serious, and it has happened to Google no less, which makes it very, very hard to believe. At the same time, one has to be concerned as well.